Hello audience and welcome to my next video. In last video we have seen about how we can run a basic Spring Boot application using our Eclipse. Okay, so in today's video we will try to run a basic application where we will create a controller and which is taking some parameter in the get request and how we can render the response back to the HTML page. So in this application we are not going to much detail how everything is working. Yeah, but some point we definitely will touch that what all the annotations, what all the methods or the HTML page and the location we were creating. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, what we will do, we will create a class here, and let's see, my class name will be my controller. Okay, and first of all, because this is my controller class, I'm going to use my controller annotation given by Spring. Now what we will do, we will create a method. Suppose I will create my get request for sample and with no parameter, and I am returning just my template page. Okay, and let complete the signature. So this is my basic method which we have created. It is okay. So okay, I have created a controller and a method which is returning a string simply, but I have not defined anywhere when this method should be called. Okay, so for this purpose, because I want this method to be exposed such that whenever a particular path will be requested, then this method will be responsible to give the response for that particular path. Okay, so what I will do here, I will use a one more annotation, get mapping. In get mapping, we will give a path. Okay, suppose I'm giving home. So whenever I give my home path, then this particular method will be called and this particular string will be returned. For the understanding purpose, I am just uh, writing some sys out here. Okay, okay, so this is what, but what is the purpose of returning this particular string here? Correct. So the purpose of returning this particular string is actually used by the resolver, view resolver. So in this case, what will happen then, whenever we return the particular string with a mapping here, then this particular name will be used. I'm copying it and will be used to check whether this particular file exists in my template folder or not. If it exists, then it will render that particular page. Okay. Okay. So this is the very basic example how the GET request will be rendered. So we are not using any parameter. It's a simply home page request which will be rendered, which will render the template, my template page, or I can say, okay, my template page, and okay, good, good. So now I will run this. Let's see what will happen. Started. Now we will hit our local host colon default port 8080, and you will see we are able to see our index page welcome audience, which I have seen in our last video as well. Now what will happen if I try to hit my home page? See what it will do. It is rendering welcome to home page. Okay, it means whenever I hit this particular URL or this particular request, then it will render my template which is defined in the templates folder. Right? This is a very basic example on how the get mapping it works. But here we are not taking any parameter from the front end, right? Suppose I will take a parameter. Again, to take the parameter, we have to define something, some annotation, so that we can understand what will be the parameter will be used on the browser side or the front end side, which will be used to take the parameter, pass the parameter to the backend. Okay, so here I will define a annotation request param. Obviously it will have some properties, and then I will bind this particular request param to my some property, and I will use one more parameter model, okay, for some purpose. I will explain it, but before that let us complete the request param field. So to check what are the fields are available here, let's check the annotation. Okay, so this is the target parameter, potential runtime and documented. So here the first parameter is name, its value, required, and default value. Okay, and default value by default is default none. Okay, fine. Now the parameter which I need to define for the name, let's define the name only. If you see one more thing here, the parameter required is by default true. So it assumed whenever if some parameter you define using the request param, the by default all parameter will be true. Okay, so here for us required is equal to not true, it will be false. Okay, and the last thing which we can see, the default value. So default value is defined by default is default none. If we check this, default is none. Okay, Okay, so now here we want to define the default value equal to default value. Okay, now in the request param we have defined what will be the parameter I'm going to use, whether it will be required or not. And it is not defined, now what will be the default value we will going to consider. Then I defined a one parameter name string and one parameter model. So we are binding this particular request param to this particular parameter. Okay, so we will do two things here. First of all, we will print the value name. So okay, name parameter value. So if I print the name parameter, okay, and the same parameter I am going to not yet. Okay, so let's see this only. What will happen whenever I get the parameter and how this is mapped. Okay, so this is by default. So to pass a parameter in the get request, we can use a question mark, then name of the parameter, and then value of the parameter. If I hit it, again no change on the front end side, but we will see on the backend side that the name parameter value is seen as a 7. So it's capturing the value here, binding to name, and we can say this. Now, so this is how we are getting the data from the front end to the back end. So if any further processing required based on the parameter which we are getting from the front end, we can do here. Okay, now the second part of this demo is how we can send the parameter back to the front end. It's obvious that some parameter required to be sent to the front end as a part of response. Okay, so suppose for that only I am going to use this model attribute, model parameter. In the model, I will use one method add attribute, and I will define response, and I will bind the value here. So it can be any object or the any further result object, but for now I am just binding my requested value in the response only. Okay. So if I hit it again, so you can see no change on the front end side again, because for this on the template I need to access this particular field response so that we can render the page. So if I use any tag, okay, so I'm going to use defining the HTML. I'm just removing it, or don't remove it. Now in the HTML we have to define, okay, the tag which we are going to use on this HTML page. So let's use the template engine. Okay, so XML, XML. Okay. This is the tag which we are using when we are defining the HTML tag. That this is the uh, template engine we are going to use on our HTML pages. So let's define our attribute. Okay, let's see if it is working. Something went wrong. Not HTTPS, only HTTP. Okay, here is the text, right? So we need for concatenation, we have to use plus operator here. So let's see if it is working now. Yes, not it's working. So we can see whenever we get the response using my controller in the model attribute, the same response object we can further use on my template page, whatever we are getting. Okay, so this is all for today in this video. So next video we will come with some additional information about the Spring Boot. Hope you like the video. If you like the video, please click like, share your comments, share your feedback. Thank you all. Thank you audience. See you in the next video.